Welcome to the emergency stream.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Clap your hands. Some more. Just give some more.
What do I mean by emergency stream? I mean, it's an emergency because Mike and Ben are both doing something and they can't be here this week to help me review something. So I don't want to go down something that we already have samples of. I'm going to do something different. I had to pick this bottle up last week because we were on Whiskey Crusaders with Matt, Will, and Sarah, and we were talking about blended scotches. So today I'm going to be reviewing Dewar's Ilegal Smooth Mezcal Cask Finish blended scotch. This one is aged 8 years. Oh, and if you don't know, Dewar's wonderful blenders that have been around since like the mid 1800s. Their kind of standard release has up to 40 different blended 40 different whiskeys or grain spirits. So that's quite a high number of complexity you're trying to put in there if you're going to be going through 40 different whiskeys. But that's kind of the standard that they do. This is aged 8 years, so it was double aged, and then they also aged it for another month in mezcal barrels, or illegal, and check out today, illegal mezcal barrels from Oaxaca, Mexico, for an extra month. So this is kind of their step into unique finishing, and in the last year they just got the chance to kind of release last 2 or 3 years, so I think it might have been 2017, 2018, when they got a chance to relax some of the naming properties on it, so they can still call this a blended scotch because they added tequila and mezcal barrels and something they could be aged in and still be called a blended whiskey. It's something that's only $21. So it's something that I think is very, very reasonable. But at 40%, this second release in the Smooth series, I don't know if it's going to pack a ton of punch, only being at 40 cents. 40% ABV. The first release of the Smooth series was last year's, where they released the Caribbean Cask. So this is something I think is pretty neat because I like the fact of using a mezcal barrel. It's something that not a lot of people are using yet, and I think is going to head in that direction very shortly. It gives, just in the nose, gives it a great kind of little bit of a smoky, earthy kind of punch to it that you weren't getting before. But before we get into the whiskey itself and kind of give the nosing notes, tasting notes, I want to give a big shout out to Stephen Andrew Card, who is not with us right now. He's in the hospital. He's going through some rehab from surgery he had, so we're hoping you get better quick. We know it was your birthday on Monday. Sorry about we missed it, but we want to say happy birthday. Hope you get better soon. And coming up next week, we're going to be doing a review where Stephen was the benefactor for us on the channel. He got us a J. Riger Pinot Noir finished whiskey, so we're going to be reviewing that next week. So we just want to say big thanks to you. You know, take some time, heal up, get back on the show. We got wrestling and whiskey we got to do with you once you get back on your feet again. So let's jump back in over to the whiskey itself. As you can kind of see here, it's got a very kind of light yellow ambery color to it. Swirled around a little bit here. It does kind of go up the glass a bit. After that, it really pulls down and fades quick. It does not have pretty much any legs in the glass. They all fade back into the actual drink itself. So a little bit different from what we've been seeing lately, but this is at 40%, and it seems like a little bit of a thin 40%. On the nose, I'm getting like a honey and apricot. Really light on the front end with both those two, but kind of like an earthy kind of floral punch, some heather, and almost like a little bit of like a green pepper note, a little like a sugary note in there too, where I was saying honey. This is, I think, a A little bit more of a sugary note. He's getting kind of that agave kind of syrup smell from it, which is a little bit different than the honey smell coming off it as well too. But it's got a very floral aroma with a little bit of smoke hidden in there right now. So let's hop to this tasting. Okay, right up the front, honey. A little more feels a little bit more viscousy and syrupy on the front half. Where you're getting the honey, and I think kind of the agave syrup kind of feel to it. Then it comes around. Then like 2/3 you get like that a little bit heavier heather, a little kind of butterscotch kind of flavor, kind of not really butterscotch, but more like a caramel flavor coming through at that point. Then it kind of starts working its way into the mezcal barrel at that point, where you're starting to get some smoke. You taste a little green pepper. Kind of a vegetal kind of little smell on the nose as well too, as I'm kind of getting into it like the third or fourth time. This has some really, it has some unique flavors. None of them are overpowering. You can tell it's at 40%. Definitely a little thin on the finish. Fades away pretty quick. I'm still getting some flavors in my mouth. None of them are very bold. But I think for $21, this is a really drinkable scotch. A lot of times we talk about, like the bottom shelf matters, bottom shelf bastards. What can you find that's a very reasonably priced that has this little special kick to it? I find this to be something that I could get for $20. I think it was $20. Some people can get it for $18. Something well worth that price tag. I think you should definitely try it out at that price. For much higher, I probably wouldn't lean that way, because you're not getting the prominent kind of really heavy notes in it. A lot of this is very light, very smooth is a bad word, but it's very kind of smooth, and it's not very oily or viscous or too punchy as far as like how heavy the flavors are. It's all pretty light. But this is something I think, like I said, for an 8-year-old that's finished in mezcal, it has the uniqueness of the mezcal does come through, even though only being aged for like a month in it. It's definitely worth trying to get. I would recommend this to a lot of people. We thought we were going to film this and not use it for a couple weeks, but here it finds out it's like 2 days later. We're using the emergency stream right away. Hit the panic button. Not for too much. We'll be having actual reviews with Mike and Ben back next week, and beginning of next week, Monday, we'll be doing an interview with Anton and Paul Werney from 45th Parallel Distillery here in New Richmond, Wisconsin. We did the reviews of the Border Bourbon and the W Wisconsin Wheat. We haven't done one other New Richmond rye, but they do a lot of really kind of great stuff. Their store picks and single barrel picks have been even better than the standard releases they've been doing. They've also been doing a lot of contract distilling. One major one that everyone in Wisconsin would know is J. Henry and Son. They do the distilling for them and send it back down to the farm to age there. And during this whole, pandemic crisis where hand sanitizer became this really big thing, they have really pushed that edge, not only for themselves. They've been helping several other distilleries kind of get moving and kind of getting that out to the mass people in the area, so that they can do like their job. They can really help out the communities that they're in. So not only are they doing that up in New Richmond, they're helping across the state. Being a bigger distiller, being able to purchase all the products and do some of the stuff themselves, they're really helping other places be able to produce and help their own communities. Wonderful for that. So we can't wait to see them on Monday night. Stop in. That's going to be a heck of a live stream, and we will see you guys then. Because remember, craft whiskey is king, but it's not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone out there.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Have it in. Give some more. Just give some more.